Today's video about games explained is going to be about the psychology behind leveling systems. So why is it that seeing a number go up in a game feels so good? My assumption regarding the matter is that when you have an XP bar, when you gain experience or something in a game, or you gain certain points so that you can level up, when you do that, that's tangible. That's something that you can actually see in a way you can kind of touch it. And you're like, okay, I see where I need to go. I see how far I am until I reach the next level. I can visually see the progress that I'm making and the progress that I'm making towards making more progress. So that's probably why people receive such a high when it comes to leveling up in a game or getting strong or getting a new skill or getting a new ability, because they can foresee in real time when they're going to get to that next level in that upper echelon. Now, the disconnect lies in the fact that when games do that, they provide clarity. As I just said, they let you know when you're about to level up, as indicated by that HP bar or level up bar or whatever. But real life seldom does this. As I mentioned in the video prior to this one, you can work, you can make progress towards something, and the efforts that you're putting in, it may not always be tangible. It may not seem like you're actually progressing, you're not actually moving forward. It could seem like you're taking a step forward only to take two steps back, or vice versa. So that's why when you're in a game, that type of dynamic is so sought after to level up in the game, because you know that you're actually making progress, and this does something subconsciously to you, where in real life you attribute the struggles you go through in your day-to-day endeavors, and you're like, oh man, that's just same stuff, different day. Whereas in a game, it's like same stuff, different level, but I know I'm gonna level up eventually. The way I look at it is that it's dopamine done right, so to speak, because the small rewards, they keep you going and keep you moving forward. They deter you wanting to quit and to give up on yourself and to cease what you're doing, because you're receiving incentives when you achieve something good or you hit a certain hallmark or a certain milestone. But where you have good, you also have bad. And the thing about leveling and leveling up too quickly or over leveling is that will break immersion. It will seem as if you're overpowered, like you're taking the fun out of it. You're not getting deeply in tune with the story or the mechanics, but you're just obsessed with just chasing that next level so that you can defeat this boss or do this or do that, when you actually should just be appreciating that experience that you're in. And that's the same thing with life. You're going through the motions, and as opposed to actually appreciating the struggle and what you're going through and realizing that this is only temporary, that you're going to come out on the other side stronger, you dwell on the strong you excuse me you dwell on the bad and the negatives, and you think that that's something that's going to be permanent. And interestingly enough, if I had to relate this to a specific group of people in real life, I would say the psychology of leveling systems is even more prevalent amongst men. And that's not just because men are the predominant consumers of video games, but I would argue it's because as males, and you can agree with me, disagree with me, whatever you want to, but I would say as males, we have a way harder life than as our female counterparts. We don't get to benefit from pretty privilege or to be the preferentially treated gender. All men have to stay on the boat. Women and children off. We don't get the benefit from that. We don't get the benefit to the same degree from affirmative action or to have diversity in the workforce. We don't get to be that treasured, prized gender, who delivers and incubates the next lineage of kids. And due to these biological constructs and the way that our institutions and societies have normalized our biology, which I don't think is anything wrong with that, but due to that, that kind of affects our psychology behind leveling up and grinding and getting it out the mud, because we know that our life is inherently way more difficult. And because of that difficulty, when you're in a video game, I think that's why the grind in the game resonates with us as guys so much, not because we're just the predominant consumers of video games, but because we know what it's like to get it out the mud. We can't get saved by some rich guy, by some rich woman and expect her to come in and take care of us. No, we have to be the ones to do that, or at least traditionally, historically, whatever you want to believe. For argument's sake, let's just say, the guy's just the one who was believed to just come in and he has to do everything. So seeing that and seeing that grind, we can relate to that. We're in a game. You're playing Elden Ring. You're playing God of War. You're getting strong. You're like, oh yes, I'm doing it. I'm self-improving, and that's something that we respect inherently because we know that's our job to do as guys as well. Another thing about how the psychology of leveling systems kind of affect us in real life, I would say that even though I'm a true believer and a true proponent of the fact that you work hard enough and you do that over a long period of time, you will become successful. There are certain people who either, they don't have a hard work ethic, or maybe they just had a rough go of it and they just come to the conclusion that real life seldom and rarely rewards, your work and rewards you like persistence and keep going on. So you're like, well, I'm not receiving positive reinforcement for the efforts that I'm putting in. But when I play this video game, though, I am seeing that. So that's why I relate to it so much more. The games promise that that effort will be acknowledged as opposed to it not being guaranteed in real life. Another thing about games and leveling systems is that stats, they feel objective and they feel trustworthy to an extent. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you're in Elden Ring and you're going to Car A in the beginning of the game. You're going to get your weapon and you're going to level it up to +3 using your smithing stones. Well, that's concrete. That's something tangible. That's something that you can see. It's objective. Your weapon is objectively stronger. Your stats have gone up. And in real life, you can acquire more money, you can acquire more shifts or hours at your job, but there can still be things that can happen and things that can occur where it seems like even though these are benefits, overall it's a net negative and they can serve as detrimental because you're not really seeing the fruits of your labor and the things that you're putting into it. And interestingly enough, even when these stats are misleading or they're soft capped, players still feel progress. It's like the perception of it all matters more than the reality of it. And this is another thing. Some of you may not like this, but I think leveling and, in-game leveling systems, I think it's a way to externalize your self-worth. You can have someone who feels pathetic or they feel low down or that they're underachieving in their actual life. But in a game, let's say the max level is 100, you're at 80. Well, you're externalizing your self-worth. You're like, oh my God, like I'm a boss, so to speak. I'm someone who's actually accomplishing and overachieving, and I'm someone of stature and of merit and of value. You externalize your self-worth. But the same is true with the opposite, with the contrary. Let's say, like I just said, that scale, the maximum level that you can attain is in 100. Let's say you're only at 10, 15. Well, you feel like you're not strong enough. You feel like you don't amount to anything. You feel pathetic. You feel inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. And that's just a way that people externalize, not people, but gamers. That's the way they externalize their own self-worth. This is why you can see people who get addicted to video games, because that dopamine that they feel when they're slaying dragons and enemies in the game, it towers over and it just completely eclipses that lack of dopamine that they feel in their actual life because they're not achieving the things that they want to achieve. And that game is just able to provide them with that release and that distraction from all those deficiencies. Another thing that's interesting about games is that when it comes to grinding, it's it's meditative. It's like a way to calm the mind, because when you're grinding and you're playing a game, you're essentially able to turn your brain off and you're just stuck and you're just immersed in the process of just getting stronger and getting better. It's a way to just reduce the cognitive load of you having to think or just the stressors of everyday life. And when you have predictable loops, this is why in game development there's literally a mechanic called gameplay loops. The thing that the player goes through that recurs the most, you're able to just stop thinking, and the process of the grinding just becomes therapeutic. You just get lost in it. And this is probably why we miss leveling in real life. There's no XP bars for effort. Progress is invisible and it's delayed. What games do is that they satisfy this psychological gap that reality doesn't fill. Games don't just entertain us, they give us the feedback life refuses to give us. So that's why people resonate with it so much, and specifically leveling systems in the game. So in short, if I were to sum this all up in just a couple of sentences, leveling systems don't just tell us how games work, they reveal what we wish life was better at acknowledging and explaining to us. Anyways, I'm Harlem. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.